What are you studying at that period?
We're just studying. Well, right now we're studying about like the Great Depression and World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanna. The assignment was just to find someone who had lived through that period of time, and to just.
I was born in 19.
Yeah.
So 1919.
Yeah.
So I was just born in that area. Well, that was it was a very poor time.
Yeah.
And everybody lost their jobs, just like it is right now.
Yeah.
And they had, for the young boys, that they had they made a if I made it forget, and I forget words, so wait, you just wait with me.
All right.
For the young boys, they made they call, what was the I think it was the SSS, and the 18-year-old boys, they could go out and work.
Yeah.
For the state, and they would it was just like a camp, and they because my brother was in it, and they built little bridges, and they cleared land, and work all this to make it look beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as far as the money thing, I don't think I remember seeing any much money around. Everybody would go down into town and every certain day of the week, and they got a bag of food.
Yeah.
And but we, being the fact that we had a little farm.
Where'd you live during this
I lived
time?
in New Milford,
New
just
Milford.
above New Milford, in a little section called Boardman.
All right.
And my father raised tobacco.
Yeah.
So we all had to work.
Yeah.
I was a little girl, and I used to have to go and pick all the little leaves that they dropped, and do it that way there. And I remember the neighbors walking down, and not many people had cars.
Yeah.
And so they would walk down every day. That was their day to go down and get food, and their bag of groceries to eat. And that is about all I could remember of that, because I was just a young girl.
Yeah.
But it was hard times.
Yeah.
But my family didn't have that bad, because my father raised tobacco, and we got money from that.
And what about like World War II and the events leading up to World War II? Like, what do you remember about that?
Well, nothing led up to that. It was just the Japanese just came over and started bombing.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then then it was war. Then all the boys started going into. So I had two brothers that went in.
Really?
And one brother was over in Europe. And it was just like this, just like us having the war here now. The war was there, and Japs really did a job down there. And they sunk a few of submarines.
Yeah.
And they came over just like a bunch of birds. They just right through. I was watching the movies and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Do you remember that day the day that Pearl Harbor occurred?
That was in the 1940, 41.
I think it was in 1942.
42.
Yeah.
Because then I left New York, and I came up and I worked in Bridgeport Brass.
Yeah.
And the laboratory, working on all the metal that they were making. Because
so you worked in a metal factory during the war?
I worked in Bridgeport Brass, down in Bridgeport.
And did they like specialize in one like metal machine?
Yeah, we checked all the metal that came through.
All right.
But the building next to us built the big bomb that went on the boats.
Really?
Yeah, that was it. You can ask me questions. That's better.
That's amazing. So all throughout the war, you worked at Bridgefield Brass.
Bridgeport Brass, yeah.
And you said that you had one brother in Europe. Where was the other brother stationed?
He was stationed in Connecticut.
Yeah.
He didn't go far,
So
because they found out he wasn't qualified because of he had one leg shorter than the other.
Really?
So then he didn't. But he I don't know if he worked where he worked at the time. I'm trying to figure what we had up there. You can ask me questions, I can answer them better than I can think.
Yeah. What about, do you remember, like, did you ever, I know I've talked to, when my other grandma, when she was alive, she said that she used to, like, she attended the dance halls, during, like, the wartime period. Did you ever do that?
No, I was too young.
You were too young?
Yeah, I was too young.
What age were you?
I graduated high school 39,
All
and
right.
that was 18 years old then,
Alright,
you see. So that I went into the war business.
alright, yeah. And, did you, like, other than working, did you remember any, like, contributions that you made to the war? I know that we've been studying, like, victory gardens and rationing, and, like, war
Of
bonds.
course, that was a lot of people had that, but see, as I keep saying, we had a farm and we had our own, all had our own food and everything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was, the war, you can see any picture on the screen, and that was pretty much about what they did, really. But I was going to say something about the war. Yeah, I see it so far now, and I'm beginning to lose.
Yeah.
Lose.
It was a long time ago.
For me, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't yesterday.
No.
No, you ask another question. Maybe I can help you.
Do you remember, like, the feeling of relief that America felt after the war ended? Like, what were the feelings that went through?
Well, everybody was really glad because it was just dragged on, you know. And then when they went over and bombed into Japan, everybody was happy.
Yeah.
Because I mean, they were all angry with the Japanese for bombing Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And so that was that. There was real joy then.
All right. And what about, like, do you remember anything about like hearing about the concentration camps in Europe?
Yes, I mean a lot of the boys came home and a lot of people were killed.
Yeah.
And I mean they had the war over there, you know what I mean, and it went from Italy and into Japan, Germany, all that, and the Germans, they just kept trying to keep going, but they didn't win out, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was hard for the people that didn't have money, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They couldn't buy food, or because they didn't have the money. But then with the war on, if they worked like I did in a place, they would make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know?
Can you tell me, like, what you remember of, like, Franklin Delano Roosevelt?
Well, he was very good. He
Yeah.
was a very good president, and he did all the best he can. He had he started the money we get today, like Social Security.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And he did he was a very, very good president.
Yeah, he was.
And he thought of the people more so than anything else.
That's true. Do you remember, like, any of these certain? Do you remember, like, the Hindenburg crash of, like, the hydrogen? What is it called? Like the huge balloon. The huge balloon.
The bombs.
No, it's never mind. Do you remember, like?
It'll come to you. It comes to me. That's what I said.
It'll come to me tonight when I'm, like, sitting in bed.
Yeah.
Going back to, like, FDR, did you I'm assuming you owned a radio during you didn't? No?
We didn't have electricity.
Really?
We didn't have electricity then.
Really?
My father got it. My father got it after he did all the batteries and everything, and we put it in our own electricity.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bright like this. It used to be a yellow glow. But at least we had electricity, and we had electricity to use the bat.
Yeah.
to get the water up and everything. No, and it was a poor time in all the country.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, can you tell me more about your brother's experience in Europe? Did he like serve actively in?
My one brother came back home because one leg was shorter than the other. He had the saw went through and cut his leg once.
Really?
And when they made that leg short, so he didn't stay in the war. And my third brother, he couldn't go because he had bad lungs.
All right.
But now my oldest brother, he was over in Europe, and he was a cook.
A cook. All right.
Yeah, and he said that the only thing he liked was Sweden. The rest was all too much fighting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said that one day they'd be down here, he'd be working to make him cook, you know, and that everybody would be going back because they were being pushed back, you know.
Yeah.
Then they would be going forward again, and it was like going back forward, everything, you know. And he said sometimes we were cooking out in the field, and sometimes we were cooking in the cellar.
Yeah.
It was, you know, like all that part.
What branch of the military was he serving in?
Gee, I couldn't remember that.
All right.
All I knew, I used to send him chewing gum because he used to chew, and the chewing gum never got over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were stealing it on the way.
I don't know what I'd do without chewing gum during school. It's what gets me through and keeps me concentrated.
I know it's bad. It's hard to remember back now with me. And probably tonight I'll be lying in bed saying, "Oh, I could have told him that. I could have told him this." You know what I mean? But I am, as it is, I'm 95 years old.
Yeah.
And I am losing my memory.
Oh, I'll come back another time, maybe with Dante or Alec.
Well, if you could have some questions, I think I could answer them probably a little better than trying to remember.
Yeah.
Because, in the 40s, I mean, that's when we all started doing all right because everybody was working. Most of the people were working in, for the government. And different places making bullets and all this and that, so it sort of kind of got so the person was able to buy a car or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there was more money around.
Yeah, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can't thank you enough for letting me come
if I could
talk to you.
remember, something. I mean, I would help you because I enjoy, talking back because it does me to remember because I was a little girl, the first part, and I wasn't even in my teens, and I can remember that we had to can fruit and things and everything for the winter, because they people didn't had jobs, and my brother-in-law was a carpenter and he didn't have a job. I mean, I can, get sing, but I can't, and in the 40s, of course, it's very out now that you can get information about the 40s, if that was the war.
Yeah.
So you can get that part,
Yeah.
You can see a movie picture on TV where the planes came over and everything, and then they're mean to our prisoners.
Yeah.
And as I think, I start thinking, but I didn't have too much to do because as I say, I wasn't even in my teens yet.
Yeah.
I didn't graduate high school until 39, but it was poor times. That's all I can remember, But I can't remember us because we used to have to go and pick our own berries, and then we used to have to can them for the winter. See what I mean? But a lot of people didn't do that.
No.
And they would go downtown and get their bag of groceries, that was easier, but we my folks couldn't do that because we had means of support.
Yeah, exactly.
And my oldest brother, he would always say, send me some chewing gum, and it would never get over. He went into Sweden, he would exchange it for eggs. So I used to set them, and sometimes they got over to there, and sometimes they didn't get there.
Yeah.
And they